us here. Many people have spoken of Betty's graciousness, her kindness, unassuming nature, and she was always also tough. She, we had a family that we were helping out in Southwest Philadelphia, and I was the liaison. I asked for volunteers to help with tutoring, and she stepped up. She did volunteer. We drove them from their home to a library, and then as we were driving back one day, we were going through a rough neighborhood, and someone threw a rock through the back window of my car. We were all very shaken up. I felt very responsible. I thought, oh goodness, what am I, subjecting these children to, the family to, and Betty? And I said, oh, I'm so sorry. And she just was, took it in a very matter-of-fact sort of way. She had lived through World War II. She was instrumental in the Nuremberg trials, as has been mentioned. And she said, okay, well, I'm ready to volunteer next Sunday. Just without thinking. And so in addition to her graciousness and her kindness, she was just tough, pretty tough.
I first got to know Betty on our annual trips to Waterloo Gardens to buy plants. And she just loved it there. It's just such a beautiful place, and the plants are there's just too many to choose. And I knew her as a wonderful, gracious, gentle woman. And it wasn't until my daughter was involved with a project interviewing Quakers on war that I really started to understand what her background was. And I was astounded. This is an age where women are very clear that I'm not just a nice woman. I'm a powerful woman, and I have this strong, great background. I didn't know that about Betty. Betty wasn't like that. She didn't tell you all these wonderful things that she had done. So since then, I had more and more opportunities to work with her on the scholarship committee, and then she and I got together and started thinking about, what about meditation? Do we really understand what worship and meditation is all about? And she brought into our meeting a woman from Haverford College to talk to us about how to meditate. And we started a program, A Light to Live By, because of Betty. At the end, I visited her and talked to her, and one day she insisted that let's go for a walk far from here, away from the people. And so we walked through the labyrinth of the quadrangle. Really, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to find my way back unless she could direct me. She had already had a stroke, and she was having difficulty speaking, but she absolutely wanted to speak privately. And I won't go into the things she said, but she was concerned about the fact that she didn't feel like she could give much anymore. She didn't feel, and it made her so sad that she couldn't give anymore. And I just couldn't believe that this woman would say such a thing, because she was such an amazing model of gentleness and humility that it would continue to give and give. This woman's gift will continue for years.
Hello, my name is Marie Gisto. I'm a good friend of Betty and Bill. I'm going to read something from Betty's family in England. It's from her sister Beryl and her niece Libby Pete and nephews Pete and John. Dear friends, we in England are very glad of the opportunity to join you in spirit today. give thanks for Betty's life. We would like to share some recollections of her and some things Beryl vividly remembers about her sister's childhood. In 1916, Betty was born into a loving and Christian home in Yorkshire, coal mining village. Probably as a little girl, her first bright shining star was her beloved Grampy. He did exciting things and described how he had taken his missionary zeal to wild New Zealand, where there were still cannibals. She obviously inherited some of his zest. While she was still very young, Betty's favorite occupation was devising puzzles and competitions for everyone. Later on, it was things like translating nursery rhymes into German or chemistry or detective stories. She just had to work everything out for herself. When she was about 13, we moved house into town, where our father had a small boot and shoe warehouse. Back in town, Mother sadly recorded in her diary, her whole interest is just schoolwork. But she would be incredibly kind and thoughtful at home. I often wondered what was going on in Betty's mind, but just knew it had to be something good. Whenever she chose to take up a challenge, she left no stone unturned, and there were many challenges ahead. After 2 years at Leeds University, she was impatient to see for herself what life was like in Hitler's Germany. In 1935, she left home for Tübingen in the South, and from then on her world was never small or confined to the family. In her very modest way, her life was one of being drawn by her faith to the right place at the right time, and in the cause of peace and justice. Later, when her eldest sister Joy had children, John, Pete, and Libby, she became a magical American aunt. She sent us genuine feathered Indian headdresses, real cowboy outfits, and dolls that actually wet themselves. We became the envy of our neighborhood. We were always aware that there was a serious humanitarian side to AD, as we fondly called her, and I'm sure that the list of tributes to those humanitarian achievements will be lengthy. It is for those reasons and many other reasons that we are proud to call her our aunt and sister. For us, we will always remember her warm and loving smile and her genuine interest and concern for the family right up to the end.